Shocking. My smart car's GPS exposed her 15-year double life. The car's weight sensors exposed her other family, and the prenup paid me for it. Oil change in, custody plan out. Odometer lied. GPS didn't. Boom. Buckle up, because the car did first. Let me paint you a picture. Her promotion party, lights down, projector up, and I'm the sweet, supportive husband handling the tribute. Slide 1. A glowing cul-de-sac 2 hours away. Slide 2. Passenger and rear seat occupancy charts labeled "Not My Carpool." Slide 3. Her unloading groceries while a guy in gym shorts drags out a soccer net. Final slide. Our prenup clause, infidelity plus third-party evidence equals equity shift. Paper did the yelling. The car did the pointing. I did the breathing. I'm a spreadsheet romantic. I have torque specs bookmarked like other people have vacation rentals. My idea of foreplay is labeling bins in the garage so aggressively the Sharpie begs for mercy. I tell dad jokes, I overseason pancakes, and if a bar graph walks into my life, I buy a dinner. My wife, Lena, is a consultant with calendar blocks so perfect, they look photoshopped. Mondays, pitch. Wednesdays, deck review. Thursdays, client dinner. Fridays, travel. Everything color-coded, including me, which is how you know a relationship is thriving. You exist as teal. We've been together 15 years. She handled flights. I handled bedtime logistics like a librarian with snacks. On paper, we worked. We even upgraded to a top-tier smart car I named Tattlewagon because it had more cameras than a reality show and a monthly subscription that sounded like a gym membership for robots. I bought it for safety. She used it for commuting. The car used itself for justice. Routine was our personality. Tuesdays and Thursdays, she'd text, "Late client dinner." I'd reply with a photo of our kid wearing a colander helmet, and she'd send back a heart. Domestic bliss via emojis. Except tiny things stopped lining up. The tires wore down faster than the miles said they should, like the car was doing CrossFit at night. Fuel charges showed up near a suburb we don't live in, and the pine tree air freshener rotated scents more often than her perfume, like the car was trying to cover someone else's laundry. I chalked it up to math being rude. Then the service alert coughed up a number that didn't know how to lie. We were at the dealership, me with a coffee that tasted like regret, Tattlewagon on a lift like a spa day for robots. The service tech walked over holding a tablet, and the expression of a man who has to be the midwife to bad news. "Hey," he said, "we're seeing 40,000 more miles in the telematics history than your odometer reports. Could be download lag, could be." He looked at me, then at the car, then back at me like he'd found a raccoon in a dishwasher. Inconsistent reporting. Is inconsistent reporting a checkbox? I asked, or more of a lifestyle? He did a shrug that meant, "Sir, I'm not getting between you and whatever this is." He printed a report. I signed something. My hands were steady. My insides were learning to juggle chainsaws. I drove home with that printout like it was radioactive. I opened a folder on my laptop named Boring Revenge. Inside it, I created car stuff. Inside that, do not panic. Everything important lies behind names that sound like accounting homework. That night, Lena texted, "Super busy, don't wait up." My eyebrow left my face and applied for asylum. I poured water, fed the dog, and opened the Tattlewagon app I'd forgotten I paid for. It remembered everything. Trips, start times, end times, idle minutes, stops. It had a map of our lives, and apparently a few extra lives I hadn't been invited to. I set a date filter. A heat bloom lit up a cul-de-sac 2 hours away like a campfire for secrets. I clicked into one Tuesday. Departed 4:42 p.m., arrived 5:58 p.m., passenger seat, occupied. Rear seats, 2 small occupants on and off between 6:04 and 6:37. Departed 8:52 p.m., returned 10:18 p.m. The car had receipts with posture. I felt equal parts nausea and gratitude. Gratitude because this meant I didn't have to argue with anyone's feelings. Nausea because, well, obviously. I whispered to the dashboard, "Blink twice if we're in a Lifetime movie." The dash blinked because I toggled Sentry Mode. Close enough. Let me be clear. I didn't want fire. I wanted math. So I did what any sane father who alphabetizes spices would do. I built a heat map. Every trip to that cul-de-sac turned into a cozy little ember on my screen. Tuesdays and Thursdays glowed like Christmas. Saturdays sprinkled in, late mornings to early afternoons. School pickup hours. The dates wore her calendar labels. Strategy session, workshop, client follow-up. Client HQ, apparently, is a vinyl-sided split level with a basketball hoop. I cross-reference bank charges. Boutique grocery near that cul-de-sac. Cash withdrawals at an ATM conveniently located next to a field where you could, I don't know, drag a soccer net while wearing gym shorts. 2 days later, an email pinged. Toll records for a license plate that looks exactly like ours because it is ours. New pass opened 6 months ago. I never approved it. Cute. I stared at the ceiling and practiced not being theatrical. I like a clean confrontation. No yelling, no improvisation. Log, picture, plan. Meanwhile, Tattlewagon had a feature I'd never tapped. Sentry thumbnails. When motion happens near the car, it grabs a still. I opened it. A driveway I had never seen. A front door I didn't recognize. My wife carrying grocery bag. A guy in shorts dragging a soccer net out of the garage like it was his personality. Kid's face is blurred by the universe, and my heart anyway. I backed everything up twice. Lamp drive. Blueberries folder. Officer Odometer folder. Because I cope by naming devices like they're federal agents. Then I took a walk, came back, patted the hood, and said, "Stand by, Sergeant Snitch." Here's the thing about 15 years. You don't light it on fire because a graph hurt your feelings. You let the paper walk. You let the car talk. And you build a boring war binder so tidy even regret can't argue. The glitch that screamed. The service tech called it inconsistent reporting, which is dealership for, "Sir, your car is living a double life and I'm not licensed for therapy." I called it the glitch that screamed because nothing screams like a number that refuses to blink. So I did triage. Coffee. Deep breath. Folder hygiene. Boring revenge/car stuff. Do not panic now had a roommate. Officer Odometer/evidence. The name calmed me like a warm towel for anxiety. Step 1. Confirm the ghost miles weren't a software hiccup. I exported the Telematics CSV like it was a playlist and sorted by trip ID. There they were, clean, boring rows marching to that cul-de-sac. If lies swagger, truth drinks water, and wears sensible shoes. I texted Lena, "Oil change done, all good." She replied, "You're the best." Which is absolutely true and also suddenly a jump scare. Back in the app, I noticed a field I'd ignored. Environmental temperature at start and end. Cute. Except it proved the car wasn't napping in a garage downtown. It was cooling from highway speeds, then warming in a quiet suburb while my lasagna cooled alone. Drama, but with Kelvin. Then the car did something petty and perfect. It logged seatbelt buckle timestamps. Passenger seat buckled 5:59 p.m., rear left buckled 6:05. Rear right buckled 6:06. Unbuckled 6:37, 6:38, 6:39. Like siblings exiting a ride while arguing about who gets the front seat next. The algorithm labeled the rear occupant's child profile based on weight thresholds and buckle height. I didn't know the car could body shame me with science, but there we were. I whispered, "Buddy, if you also know shoe sizes, blink." The dash stayed stoic like a British butler, then politely offered a tire pressure check because it hates fun. I built a chart called Not My Carpool. Tuesdays and Thursdays stacked like Jenga blocks. Saturdays added sprinkles. I color-coded them lemon zest yellow because I'm petty and because nothing labeled lemon can hurt you more than once. Next, the odometer discrepancy. I ran a pivot table. Yes, I hear how that sounds. And compared telematics distance against cluster readings by month. The delta charted its own romance arc. Coy in year 1, bold in year 2, shameless for the last 6 months. My marriage and my speedometer were living separate lives, and only one of them had good boundaries. I needed corroboration that didn't live in the cloud I paid for. Enter toll history. The pass account showed transactions with an account nickname I didn't create, Ridgeview. Cute. Also, the name of the middle school near the cul-de-sac. If coincidence had a laugh track, it would have been wheezing. The glitch escalated to scream when I clicked vehicle events and found door open, trunk 6:59 p.m., followed by luggage compartment closed 7:07 p.m. 8 minutes later. What takes 8 minutes? A grocery bag, Tetris level, and a man in gym shorts wrestling a soccer net, apparently. I know because Sentry Thumbnails decided to join the group chat with 3 stills of life outside my house like it was applying for a journalism award. At that point, Denial packed a small bag and moved out. Acceptance arrived with office supplies. I printed the cleanest sheets, date-stamped them, and wrote chain of custody notes like the world's saddest security guard. Lamp drive backup verified. Blueberries folder duplicated to cloud. I even hand-numbered pages because chaos hates pagination. I also gave myself a 10-minute timer to feel things. Timer up, I told Officer Odometer. We'll cry in Excel. The car chimed exactly once like a church bell for spreadsheets. Because I hate surprises more than I hate crumbs in cutlery drawers, I tested live. I set a geofence around the cul-de-sac labeled Not Client HQ, toggled Notify on Entry, and this is where even I admit the bit went too far. Enabled a custom alert sound, a referee whistle. Petty artistry matters. 2 evenings later, 5:56 p.m., whistle. My phone lit up with a notification so cheerful, it felt cruel. Tattle wagon entered Not Client HQ. Seatbelt, passenger. 5 minutes later, rear left, then rear right. I watched the live breadcrumb path settle like the world's worst Uber ride. I watched the idle clock climb. I watched my lasagna recipe tab ask if I was still there. That night, she texted, back late, client crisis. I typed same and didn't send it. At 9:41, the car dinged, Sentry event detected. I opened the clip because of course I did. My wife set a grocery bag on the trunk lip and laughed at something off camera. Jim Shorts man hauled the net like a Labrador hauling a log. 2 small figures bounced past the bumper. He waved at the car as if a camera couldn't possibly be a camera. I paused the frame where his wave looked like an autograph on a confession. Then, the tiniest heartbreak. A still of her tying a kid's cleat, using the loop-over-loop knot I taught her because double knots are tyranny. I put the printout face down and stared at the backside so I could breathe without falling through the floor. I labeled that page, Human. I labeled the next one, Math. We could have it both ways, but in the right order. 2 more things screamed without sound. In Bluetooth pairing history, 2 unknown devices, Kid Tablet and Coach Dan 2. The car had met their tech and was excited to share. And in comfort settings, seat memory profiles had micro adjustments on Tuesdays that weren't mine. Steering wheel pulled way back, seat low, like someone with longer legs and a protein shakes or personality posture took it for a spin. I didn't accuse. Not yet. I booked a consult with a lawyer whose online reviews used words like methodical and unflappable and plants. I wrote myself a rule. No monologues. No guessing. Log, picture, plan. The glitch had screamed. The car had testified. My job was to number the exhibits and keep the knives in the drawer. Telematics 101 for petty spouses. Here's the part where my love language becomes CSV files and my kink is accurate timestamps. Telematics isn't sexy until your marriage needs chain of custody. Then it's lingerie made of metadata. The app had tabs I'd ignored for years like a gym membership. Trips, events, geofences, diagnostics. It was basically a diary with road rage. I started with trip logs because I respect chronology more than I respect most people's opinions. Every entry, start time, stop time, distance, average speed, idle time, ambient temp, and a cheerful map line that looked like a vein screaming. I exported everything to Excel and greeted it like a friend. Column A, date. B, start. C, end. D, distance. E, idle. F, geotags. Then I dropped in a slicer for Tuesday/Thursday filters because I refused to scroll like a peasant. The pattern didn't just appear, it climbed out of the screen and asked for snacks. 2 trips a week, near identical timing, surgical consistency. If cheating had an HR department, it wrote this schedule. Next tab, vehicle events. This is where the car publishes gossip. Door opens by position. Trunk pops. Remote start requests. Cabin preheat at 4:51 p.m. on not winter days. Why would you remote start a car at 72 degrees? So the cabin smells like eucalyptus and plausible deniability when you whisper, client dinner ran long. Then I got to geofences. I set one around our house called Safe Harbor and another around the cul-de-sac called Not Client HQ. Pro tip, name your fences for the judge you haven't met yet. Toggle Notify on Entry/Exit. Set thresholds and choose a sound. I picked a whistle because pettiness is an art. Weight sensors are where it gets spicy. The car knows when a seat is occupied, whether the belt's locked, and it guesses size based on pressure maps and posture. No, it doesn't know birthdays. Yes, it knows if a booster was there last Tuesday. The log reads like passenger, adult, rear left, small occupant, rear right, small occupant, belt heights at not adult. It's adorable until you realize your life is a clown car with documentation. Bluetooth pairing history made me cackle and then sit down. Known devices included my phone, Lena's phone, and 2 strangers, Kid Tablet and Coach Dan 2. Why 2? Did the first Coach Dan fail quality control? I clicked details. First scene, 4 months ago. Last scene, yesterday. Favorite status, true. The car prefers the man named after whistle practice. Cute. Idle time is the quiet killer. People think distance tells the story. Nah. It's the 19 minutes of engine on, doors closed, cabin climate steady at 70, in a driveway, not yours. I built a pivot on idle blocks and painted anything over 15 red. The sheet looked like a rash that needed antibiotics. Remote command showed a pattern so petty, it deserves a plaque. On Tuesdays, the driver's seat moves back an extra inch and the lumbar setting drops to 3. On Thursdays, the steering column tucks low. This is the ergonomic signature of a man who thinks squats are a personality. Meanwhile, on Saturdays, the profile resets to her exact settings at 10:04 a.m., then again at 1:27 p.m. after errands. Errands do not have quads. Diagnostics gave me a church laugh. The car records TPMS variance by wheel. Rear right is consistently 2 psi higher after not client HQ visits, which means Jim Shortman likes his driveway more than my air compressor. I flagged it anyway because prosecutors love consistency and I love oxygen. And then, cabinetry. Phone as key is a blessing for people who hate fishing for fobs and a curse if you're living fiction. Each entry lists which device pinged the car first. On 12 separate Thursdays, her phone wasn't first. A device labeled Dan iPhone opened the car 5:58 p.m., passenger side. My notes read, Sir, Geo heat map time. I pulled coordinates and baked them in a free tool that turns deceit into ingredients. Our house? Warm. The office? Warm. That cul-de-sac? Flaming comet. The route became muscle memory for a car that doesn't have muscles. For cross-checks, I matched trips to banking. Boutique grocer within 0.2 miles of not client HQ, timestamped 7:11 p.m. over and over. Fuel station 3 blocks down, loyalty code ending 62. I didn't set up. Tell me you're living a duplicate life without telling me you're living a duplicate life. Redeemed car wash. Try fail cycles? Plenty. At first, I thought maybe she was mentoring a youth team. Sweet. Noble. Then Bluetooth whispered Coach Dan 2 and the weight logs kept buckling tiny humans weekly for years. I doubted again. Maybe she's helping a cousin. I checked her cousin. None lived there. Denial tried one more push-up and pulled something important. Finally, Sentry Mode. It logs motion events with thumbnails. Garbage night. Porch light. Soccer net wrestle. Grocery bag yoga. One clip caught her placing a hand on a kid's head in that absent, familiar way people do when they belong. I labeled it human again, then filed it under math with everything else. I Venmo'd myself $1 labeled therapy, then declined it for compliance. Then I patted the dash and said, Sergeant Snitch, that'll do. The car offered a software update like applause. The camera that didn't blink. Sentry Mode is basically a nosy neighbor with a law degree, and I had never given it a real job. That changed when Sergeant Snitch started acting like it got tenure. The thumbnails lined up in the app like little confession Polaroids. Gray suburban driveway. Porch light doing its best moon impression, and my car sitting there like a witness in a suit. First frame I opened, I swear my pupils dilated. A front door I didn't recognize. Beige perfection. 2 pumpkins that were either seasonal or held hostage. My wife stepped into view. 2 reusable grocery bags cutting off circulation to her fingers. She did the keys in mouth, elbow the trunk dance I've seen 1,000 times, just not at a house I'd never visited. Next clip, Jim Short's lumberjack enters from stage left, dragging a soccer net like he was auditioning for CrossFit the musical. He gave the bumper a friendly pat. Not the way you pat your car, the way you pat a dog you think you might adopt. I paused it and zoomed with the ferocity of a raccoon discovering Tupperware, then took a breath so I didn't scream into the speaker grill. Sentry has that little red dot, the one that means, "We caught motion, buddy." Mine looked like acne. Event after event. 6:59 trunk pop, 7:02 net drag, 7:11 grocery lift, 7:34 tiny human blur bouncing past the rear wheel like joy on caffeine. Faces stayed mercifully turned or smudged by bad lighting, thank you ethics. But the truth didn't need cheekbones. I exported the lot and hashed them like a guy who once read a forensics blog at 2 a.m. MD5, SHA 256. Don't worry, I labeled it Officer Odometer /video/do not edit. Even you, future me. I threw copies in lamp drive and blueberries because camouflage is a lifestyle. Then wrote chain of custody notes like a hall monitor with adult taxes. Watching hurt and helped at the same time. The tiniest moment got me. Her hip bump to close the trunk. That lazy little move she does when her hands are full. My brain offered up our kitchen trash can. The cabinet door she knocks with her knee to toss peels when she's making soup. The joke she always made about premium legs. I pressed pause and counted to 10 like I was diffusing a Christmas ornament. Okay, then math. The camera timestamps matched the telematics entries down to the minute. Passenger door open at 5:59. Sentry caught her shadow sliding across the quarter panel. Rear belts unclick at 6:37. Two small blurs fling out of frame like popcorn. 8-minute trunk Tetris? The next sequence could be a how-to video, except the how-to is assemble your own alibi. If Petty had a weather app, it dinged next. One still caught the reflection in the car's glossy paint. Coach Quads wearing a school hoodie. Ridgeview naturally. I screenshotted my own bumper like a tourist at the Louvre and filed it under Why Not Universe. I wanted to be surgically boring, so I printed 4 representative frames and left the rest in their digital cave where metadata sings. Exhibit A, unfamiliar porch. Exhibit B, groceries plus laugh. Exhibit C, soccer net wrestle. Exhibit D, the pat. I captioned them with timestamps and geofence names, then put sticky notes that said human and math, because apparently I moonlight as my own therapist. Sentry also logs confidence movement, which is the car's way of rating how sure it is a thing is interesting. Garbage trucks are low confidence. People you married loading milk at a second house? 5 stars, chef's kiss. I annotated that too, because judges love little boxes with numbers, and I love when machines act smug on my behalf. To make sure I wasn't living an art film where light lies, I did a Sunday drive. Soft stakeout. I cruised past the cul-de-sac once at noon, windows up, radio off, heart reminding me it exists. Tattlewagon did its neutral creep while I waved at no one and pretended I was lost. The house looked exactly like the thumbnails. The basketball hoop, the porch chairs, the sympathy pumpkins. I didn't stop. I didn't take photos. I let the car know, yes, this is real. Thanks. Keep it moving. Back home, I gave Sergeant Snitch a pep talk. "You're not revenge," I said. "You're receipts." The car responded by suggesting a software update and a wiper blade replacement, which is fair. Nothing says civilized like good visibility. Here's the punchline Sentry delivered last. Ambient audio, low and dirty. You can't record audio in a lot of places. The car doesn't. But one clip, the door stayed open long enough that it caught gym shorts humming the same 4 notes you hum when you're not worried about being caught. It was not a song. It was easy. It was everything. I wrote, feelings later. Then I labeled a new section in my binder, VO corroboration. Printed thumbnails slid into page protectors like tiny, awful wedding photos. I numbered them. I initialed the corner like a narc. Then I closed the binder and sat on my hands until my palms cooled. And because Petty is a recovery program, I named the camera system Officer Ocular in the file tree and whispered to the garage, "Good work, team. Hydrate." The water heater hummed, building the dog sneezed. The car blinked its binder like a dad assembling a trampoline. Too confident, slightly terrified, and with a deep respect for springs. 3-inch D-ring spine. Clear page protectors. Tabs so aggressive they could vote. Cover label, Officer Roadmap. Subtitle, smaller font. Receipts, not feelings. First tab, trips. I printed the telematics CSV summaries as if they were love letters from a very judgmental robot. Each page had columns highlighted. Date, start, stop, distance, idle. I stamped them with a tiny exhibit stamp I bought at 2 a.m. because insomnia loves Etsy. Each sheet got a bottom right corner code, or TR001 -- into forever. Boring is a weapon. Second tab, miles. This is where the ghost miles flexed. I plotted odometer versus telematics distance by month and printed the chart in grayscale like a courtroom couture choice. The line for telematics did mountain yoga. The odometer played limbo. I taped a sticky at the top. The odometer doesn't do improv. Petty titles keep me calm. Third tab, weight sensors. I printed occupancy logs with belt timestamps. Passenger adult. Rear, small. I added tiny silhouettes in the margin like a children's book illustrated by a statistician. To the right, I pasted a legend with thresholds. Adult, child, booster. The car body shamed politely. I underlined politely. Fourth tab, Bluetooth. Known devices, us. Unknown devices, kid tablet, Coach Dan 2. I printed the first scene/scene table and circled dates with a red pen like a TV detective who needs a nap. In the footer I wrote, if he has a 2, he's been here long enough to crash the first. Fifth tab, Sentry. 4 printed thumbnails per page, captions with timestamps and GPS coordinates. No faces, no drama. Just grocery transfer, net wrestle, door open, the pat. I placed them so the frames aligned with the corresponding trip pages because I am romance coded for cross-reference. In the margin, tiny arrows labeled human math. Sixth tab, geofences and heat map. I printed the glowing comet of not client HQ, and, because I hate myself, I printed an inset map with trips overlaid. Label on top, client HQ equals middle school pickup zone, then a footnote. Ridgeview was not a boardroom. I could hear the judge's eyebrows arching from here. Seventh tab, financial overlap. Boutique grocery receipts captured from the bank portal. ATM withdrawals that lined up obnoxiously with idle blocks. A toll pass account page with the nickname Ridgeview circled like a guilty puppy. I added a simple ledger. Date, vendor, distance to fence, notation. The notes column said things like soap plus oranges plus soccer because my soul is an editorial. Eighth tab, vehicle events. Door/trunk cycles, remote starts, climate preconditioning. I highlighted the preheat at 4:51 p.m. on a 72-degree day and wrote in pen, eucalyptus doesn't require heat. Then I read it out loud once and rolled my eyes at myself. The binder didn't laugh, but it felt supportive. Ninth tab, diagnostics. TPMS variants, steering column and seat memory adjustments on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the petty lumbar changes. I put 2 screenshots landscape, then a caption, quads are not errands. I taped it down with washi that had little traffic cones because if you can't be extra while your life implodes, why even buy office supplies? 10th tab, chain of custody. Hash values for the files. Export dates and times. Locations of backups, lamp drive, blueberries, cloud boring name. I initialed each entry like a hall monitor who finally got tenure. I even wrote the sentence, printed by me from my account unedited, and then made myself a tea to wash the taste of adulthood out of my mouth. I built a crosswalk index, page numbers to tab numbers to exhibit codes. It looked like the world's saddest treasure map. Then I wrote the rule on a sticky and slapped it inside the front cover. Log, picture, plan. Under that, no monologues. I booked the lawyer consult. The office had plants that could file taxes. She skimmed 3 pages, then tapped the spine like she was testing drywall. This binder will win friends in court, she said. Slow, quiet, methodical. She asked for clean copies. I handed the stack like a waiter with a very serious lasagna. Next, home triage. I froze the joint card limit to milk and emergencies, opened a kid-only account with alerts at $20, and set text pings for any new pass charges. I made a lockbox, passports, titles, birth certificates, prenup, telematics exports on labeled drives. The label maker got so hot it needed a wellness check. I tried a script with myself. We're keeping this clinical. I practiced the line 3 times until it sounded like a person not auditioning for a soap opera. I added a page titled Kitchen Table with a 3-step agenda. 1. Show heat map. 2. Show occupancy logs. 3. Offer plan. Therapist, calendar, DNA optional custody status quo. At the bottom I wrote, boundaries, not theatrics. Finally, I took a picture of the binder and texted it to myself with a caption, Officer Roadmap, then set it as a hidden album because subtlety is also a witness. I closed the cover, squared the edges, and patted it like a dog who knows sit and stay. Sergeant Snitch blinked in the garage. Paper exhaled. My chest followed. Quiet verification weekend. I gave myself a rule for the weekend. Verify, don't vandalize. Soft shoes, softer voice, and the softest face I could arrange on short notice. Saturday, I took Sergeant Snitch for a get-lost drive and let the map pretend it didn't know where we were going. We coasted through that cul-de-sac like a ghost with good credit. I didn't stop. I didn't stare. I did the world's politest lap. Blinkers, full stops, a wave at nobody, and kept rolling. On the way out, I said, we were never here, and the car chimed like a co-conspirator who files taxes early. I grabbed gas at a station on the corner I'd seen on our heat map receipts. Same pump lane, same coffee machine that sounds like a dentist with ambition. I paid with the joint card, then checked the digital receipt later. The pump ID matched 3 Thursday nights from my spreadsheet. Tiny fingerprint. I added a sticky titled, Coincidence but Rude. Back home, I played homeowner CSI. County property tax records are free if you like pain. I fed the address into the assessor site, and boom, found our new friend. A charming split level, owned by a Shell LLC, with a name that sounds like a motivational poster. Registered agent, a mail drop suite. Cute. I cross-checked the LLC with the Secretary of State database, and my eyebrows did a backflip. The registered agent's contact email matched the gym's domain. So Coach Quads knows a notary and an accountant. How resourceful. I kept it legal. Open records only. No password witchcraft. Then I hopped onto a utility start/stop index that lets you confirm supplier changes. The switch aligned suspiciously with the month those ghost miles started mountain yogaing. I scribbled, shell games and light bills. I needed a therapist for words, not weeping. So I booked the counselor my lawyer recommended for the kid. The intake lady had a voice like Coco. I said, I need phrases small mouths can carry. She gave me 3. Love is the job. Biology is information. You are safe. I wrote them on a sticky and stuck it to my soul. For science, I asked Sergeant Snitch a dumb question. Are we out of fidelity? The app offered windshield wipers. Close enough. I named the wipers Integrity and ordered 2. Then I messaged the one adult I trusted with my panic, my sister, Nora. I didn't spill. I said, I'm running a boring house drill. If a lockbox falls on my head, call 911. She replied, copy. Also, label your helmet. I love that woman. I hardened the perimeter with finance, not fury. I set the joint card limit low enough that mozzarella sticks lived and hotels died. Any charge over 20 pinged my phone like a toddler asking for juice. I opened a kid-only account and set a savings rule. Allowance autopilots, adults need permission slips. Notifications screamed the first time Lena bought a eucalyptus-scented promise. I didn't reply. I filed it under top notes, denial. The lockbox got a makeover. Passports, birth certificates, the prenup, and 2 drives labeled lamp and blueberries stacked like a sandwich you don't share. I added a fireproof bag because the universe loves irony. And then I did something I've never done. I hid nothing from myself. I even wrote a goofy chain of custody log that would make a judge yawn with satisfaction. Page numbers, initials, dates that didn't flinch. Sunday, I took one more pass by Not Client HQ. No lapse, just a glide by with Sergeant Snitch collecting ambient truth like pollen. My stomach did cartwheels, my hands tin and two'd like a brochure dad. There was a minivan out front with decals for a team I pretended not to read. I said to the car, we are not detectives. We are librarians. The car offered a lane keep nudge like amen. Then I stood in my kitchen and wrote the email that made my spine hum. Subject, Friday, clinical chat. Body, we need to talk through logistics. Kitchen table, 8 p.m. Please bring your calm voice. Agenda attached. I attached the agenda. 3 bullet points, no dramatics. GPS heat map, seat occupancy logs, plan, therapist, calendar honesty, optional DNA, status quo for our kid. At the bottom, I wrote, 1 lie from here and the doors close, then deleted it. That's for after, not before. I texted Coach Quads the only message he deserves from me right now. Nothing. He hasn't earned my vowels. Instead, I drafted a note to a shared email address I created for future grown-up chaos. Ground rules. I'd invited 3 people, me, Lena, and a therapist alias, so no one forgets the referee is real. Finally, I put my phone face down and looked at my house like a witness. I checked the smoke detectors because apparently anxiety makes you an electrician. I packed the school lunches like evidence bags, labeled, time-stamped, snack alibi intact. I wiped the counter for the 4th time. Boring has a shine you can see from the door. Before bed, I patted the binder, the dog, and the hood in that order. We moved from gathering to guarding, I told them. Sergeant Snitch blinked once, slow. The dog sneezed. The binder didn't say a word. Same, buddy. Tomorrow, paper walks, locks, ledgers, and lines. Monday at lunch, I turned my kitchen into a boring heist movie. First, the money doors. I called the bank and put our joint card on a toddler leash. Groceries? Fine. Emergencies? Fine. Romantic hotel that bills itself as herons at sunset? Absolutely not. I set alerts at $20. If someone buys gum in another zip code, my phone screams like a smoke detector with feelings. Next, I opened a kid-only checking account titled Shoes and Field Trips, Not Adult Shenanigans. Deposits autopilot in every Friday. Any withdrawal pings both my phone and my spine. I set the push tone to a cash register cha-ching because comedy helps the petty medicine go down. Document vault time. I stacked passports, birth certificates, the prenup, and 2 drives labeled lamp and blueberries into a lockbox that looks like it could survive a dragon with a grudge. I slid the lockbox into a fire bag, slid the fire bag into a cabinet, and labeled the shelf chair because it holds people up. The label maker and I shared a quiet, emotional moment. Calendar honesty came next. I split our shared calendar into 3 colors. Green means go, yellow means coordinate, red means ask first, like you're borrowing my truck. I relabeled Thursdays from client dinner to transparency pending and turned on event history. Also, no deleting. You can move a dentist appointment 3 times, sure. You can't make Ridgeview evaporate. Then I dressed the evidence in legal clothes. I printed hashes, wrote chain of custody notes, numbered pages like a librarian preparing for a hot book club. Each exhibit got a stamp, a footer code, and a tiny sticky shouting what it was. Officer Roadmap purred like a 3-ring binder that just discovered purpose. I drafted the email to Lena. Subject line calm on purpose, Friday, clinical chat. Body, we keep this clinical. Kitchen table, 8 p.m. agenda attached. Please bring your calm voice. I reread it 6 times to make sure no adjectives were throwing elbows. I did not include the phrase optional DNA yet. That's a Friday gift. Because petty is a sport, I created a new shared inbox, ground rules at, and sent myself a welcome to boring email with 3 bullet points. 1. No deletions. 2. No financial moves over $100 without a heads up. 3. No introductions to our kid without the therapist's green light. I see nobody, then smiled like a raccoon with a brand new trash can. I weighed whether to text gym shorts, a pregame, hey pal. I chose silence. Biology can wait its turn. Paper first. Then I fixed the house like a man auditioning for a hardware store commercial. Smoke detector batteries replaced. Furnace filter swapped. I dated the new filter because romance. I tested the door locks, handed the spare keys to Nora, and said, if this box goes missing, call the Avengers. She said, I'll call Mom. Same thing. At 3, my phone dinged with a toll charge I shouldn't have. The new pass tried to sprint through not client HQ. Denied. I drank water so I wouldn't drink pettiness straight from the bottle. I sat down and wrote the house rules, locks, ledgers, and lines, on a single page that looked like it would taste like oatmeal. Top line, love is the job. Under that, money gets supervision. Under that, from here on, facts only. I taped it inside the pantry door behind the cinnamon because I enjoy symbolism in snacks. At 5, the joint card pinged with the boutique receipt for eucalyptus. The alert tone did a tiny cha-ching. I said to the ceiling, we get it. Sergeant Snitch blinked twice in the garage like a metronome for restraint. Then I gave my kid the only speech they needed, standing at the counter with sliced strawberries. 2 things, I said. 1, Pancake Saturday are non-negotiable. 2, starting tonight, we use a new calendar that tells the truth. They nodded like I'd just announced we're out of broccoli. The dog pitched for strawberries. Denied. At 7:30, I laid the binder on the table like a polite grenade. Knives put away. Tacos done. Water poured. I rehearsed my 3-step script under my breath one more time. Log, picture, plan. No monologues. Boundaries, not theatrics. I stuck a sticky under my thigh that said breathe, because I'm both ridiculous and effective. I checked my pocket for the phrase I'd use when she tried to throw fog. We do this in writing. I checked my phone for the lawyer's number and the therapist's email. I checked Sergeant Snitch's app for composure. It offered a software update, which is exactly how I felt. At 7:59, the garage door hummed. I looked at Officer Roadmap, patted the cover twice, and told the air, paper will do the yelling. I'll do the breathing. The car blinked once like a bow. The house got very quiet, the way rooms do before weather changes. Lock set. Ledgers. Humming. Lines. Drawn in Sharpie. The only thing left was to keep my voice on the green parts of the calendar and let the receipts walk. The kitchen table confrontation. Tacos first because knives live in drawers and I respect OSHA. We crunched in a silence that tasted like tortilla and weather reports. Kid tucked in. Dog exiled for emotional chewing. Binder on the table like a polite grenade with tabs. I slid water to her. We're doing this clinical, I said. 3 steps. Log, picture, plan. She glanced at the binder and attempted a smile that needed jumper cables. Is this about work? It's about mileage, I said, opening tab 1 like a metro date. Exhibit or TR011. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Departure 4:42. Arrival 5:58. Return 10:18. Idle blocks that could host a TED Talk. She tried to laugh. It filed for bankruptcy midair. That's a glitch. The telematics stuff. It lags. I nodded like a docent. Love a lag. Quick lag check. GPS coordinates, engine on temps, and a cheerful breadcrumb trail that spells cul-de-sac. I tapped the heat map. Also, the odometer doesn't do improv. Her eyes flickered. You're reading it wrong. Great, I said, sliding tab 2. Let's read the weight sensors together. Passenger adult. Rear small, small. Buckle on at 6:05, 6:06. Off at 6:37, 6:38. Booster height belt positions. If this is a corporate offsite, someone brought juice pouches. She stared at the columns like they were in another language. You're being cruel. I'm being boring, I said. Cruel is guessing. Boring is columns. I flipped to Sentry. 4 thumbnails. Porch, groceries, soccer net, the pad. Pictures, I said. No speeches. She closed her eyes. Opened. It's not what it looks like. Then you'll enjoy tab 4, I said. Bluetooth. Known devices. Us. Unknown devices. Kid tablet and Coach Dan 2. First seen 4 months ago. Last seen yesterday. Favorite true. I lifted my brows. Your calendar calls Thursday's client dinner. His hoodie calls it Ridgeview. Her jaw worked. We were just talking, I offered. In a driveway, 2 hours away while the car logs cabin preheat at 4:51 p.m. on a 72-degree day, Eucalyptus is thriving. The little crack in her composure widened. Please stop being funny. I'm not, I said, softer now. I'm being numbered. She sagged into the chair like gravity hit a button. I don't know how to do this. Same, I said. But here's the plan. I turned a fresh page. Plan, 3 bullets. 1. Therapist with a script our kid can carry. Love is the job. Biology is information. You are safe. 2. Shared calendar that tells the truth. Red is ask. Yellow coordinate. Green go. No deleting. 3. Optional DNA if anyone needs decimals. She flinched at optional, like it had teeth. He doesn't. Her voice broke, then rerouted. I never wanted to hurt you. Intent noted, I said. Pages don't care. I tapped the chain of custody tab. From here, 1 lie and doors close. That's not vengeance. That's logistics. She reached across the table, palm open like an apology with fingernails. I moved my hand to my lap. Boundaries, I said, not theatrics. Her shoulders rose and fell. How long have you known? Long enough to buy a label maker a treat, I said. Short enough to keep dinner normal. She eyed the thumbnails again, landed on the net wrestle, and winced like memory had shins. He wasn't supposed to be featured, I said. He isn't. Paper is. We'll handle introductions on a schedule set by a woman with degrees and tissues. Coach Dan didn't know, she said, small, about any of this. Then he'll enjoy receiving an email from Ground Rules at, I said. All comms in writing. No school ambush, no surprise park moments. Therapist sets the pace. Tears showed up like unscheduled guests. She caught two with her sleeve. Do you hate me? I have a kid to love and a list to finish, I said. Hate doesn't fit on the calendar. She gave a laugh cry that sounded like a cracked plate. You named the binder? Officer Roadmap, I said. Please address him by rank. A tiny, real smile ghosted her mouth, then left. What about us? I looked at the tabs. We follow the plan. We keep things boring. We don't light the house for warmth. She nodded, fast, then slower, like her neck needed permission. Okay. 2 more rules, I said, sliding a single page across. No new debt, no deleting messages. If you need money over 100, text first. If you need time, add it in red. She read it like it was a menu at a new restaurant where she didn't speak the language. Okay. And 1 more, I said, because Petty loves odd numbers. Sergeant Snitch will be retiring from extracurriculars. The car goes back to groceries and podcasts that slander me. She snorted wet. You named the car too. Sergeant Snitch, I said. Officer Odometer. Officer Ocular. It's a precinct. Silence settled that didn't hurt as much. The refrigerator hummed. Somewhere, the dog decided not to swallow a shoe. She exhaled. Do I need to text him? Not tonight, I said. Tomorrow, after we send the ground rules. After we book the therapist. After you add Thursday to the calendar as not dinner. She nodded again, eyes red, voice steady. Thank you for not exploding. Paper did the yelling, I said. I did the breathing. She stood, circled the table, and stopped at my shoulder like a person asking a door for directions. I'm sorry, she said. I believe you, I said. And we still number the pages. She pressed her lips together, then turned toward the hallway. At the doorway, she paused, hand on the frame. Are we okay? We're numbered, I said. We'll see where the math lands. She went down the hall. I sat with Officer Roadmap and Sergeant Snitch showing as a tiny car icon on my phone, quiet for once. I wrote one last line in neat, boring print. Kitchen, 8 p.m. Mirror meeting completed with the other guy. Then I underlined neutral coffee shop. Actually, 2 waters we didn't touch, and me rehearsing facts only like I'm auditioning for jury duty, the musical. He walked in with gym posture and church eyes, wedding ring glinting like a warning label. We shook hands like civilized mammals who both wanted witnesses. I opened with boring. Here are the ground rules, I said, sliding the printed sheet like a menu at a restaurant that serves consequences. No contact with my kid until the therapist approves a plan. All communication in writing to ground rules, and no surprise school cameos, no park ambushes, no Easter egg hunts in my driveway. Do you understand? He nodded too fast. Yes, I didn't know. Good, I said. Believing you didn't know is free. Being useful has a subscription. I put Officer Roadmap's mini packet on the table. Cropped proof, timestamps, a Bluetooth line that read Coach Dan 2 like it had auditioned twice. He squinted, jaw working like it was chewing gum and regret. That's my phone? That's your phone when the passenger door opens, I said. And those are cabin entries you don't get to pretend are spiritual. He rubbed his temples. She said it was complicated. Complicated people love adverbs, I said. The car loves nouns. Tuesday, Pine 559 p.m. passenger. He winced, then attempted bravado that showed up unarmed. Look, man, I'm not a bad guy. Great, I said. Not a bad guy signs this. I tapped the ground rules again. Responsibility before rights. You'll attend the therapist session where we build an age-appropriate plan. You'll contribute financially when the adults with clipboards say so. You won't make speeches at soccer practice. You'll learn the calendar colors. Can you do colors? He tried to smile. It filed for workers' comp. Yeah, I can do colors. His phone buzzed. The screen lit Ellie in all caps. He flinched like the judge just entered. He fumbled decline, then looked at me. My wife. She thinks I'm at the gym. Put her on speaker, I said. Calm voice. Truth in small sentences. He stared like I'd asked him to deadlift a dictionary. Then he tapped call back. Speaker on. Hands suddenly delicate. Hey, where are you? Ellie said, crisp enough to cut toast. Coffee, he said, then swallowed. With the husband. Silence like a suspended ceiling tile. Then, soft. Is it true? He looked at me, then down at the printout like it was a teleprompter. We're confirming everything properly. There's a plan. I'm sorry. Another silence. This one with posture. Come home, she said, and hung up with mercy and steel. He exhaled a decade. I don't know how to fix this. Start with verbs, I said. I will follow the plan. I will not show up uninvited. I will answer emails like a person who understands timestamps. He nodded, smaller now, like his neck finally pinned honesty. Okay. I slid him a therapist card. We build introductions slowly. First names only. Public place. Short. Kid sets pace. If they pull back, you stop. If they lean in, you schedule the next step through ground rules. Any attempt to improvise gets you benched. He glanced at the card like it might explode. I'll do whatever you say. Do whatever the therapist says, I corrected. I'm just the guy with the snitch car and a label maker. He tried a different lane. Is your kid okay? They know pancakes still happen on Saturdays, I said. We're keeping it that way. He swallowed. I'll help. Financially. Whatever's right. Wage assignment is delightful, I said, making a note. Biology comes with a subscription. We'll CC Ellie so Clarity doesn't need a group chat whisper. He almost laughed and then didn't. Is it weird that I feel relieved? Like the lie was heavy. Lies are kettlebells, I said. Everyone thinks they're getting a core until a disc objects. He stared at the water like it could give absolution. Do you hate me? I don't have time, I said. I have a kid to love and systems to install. We stood. He held out his hand again, more human now, less quad forward. I shook it because I like civilized mammals. At the door, he paused. What do I tell the boys? Small nouns, I said. Practice dinner, bed, grown-ups handle grown-up problems. He nodded. Okay. I watched him walk into bright daylight that did not care about coaching schedules. Then I sat back down, opened my laptop, and drafted the recap email because boring is how you win. Subject, coffee recap, ground rules, bullet points, attachments, therapist link. Read receipts turned on, not because I'm petty, because compliance is a love language. Ground rules at pinged, delivered. 2 seconds later, read. Another ping, Ellie added. I exhaled cool. Sergeant Snitch chimed an update reminder like applause. I texted Nora. Coach has homework. She replied, Gold star or whistle? I typed, both, and closed the laptop like a lid on boiling water. Paper had spoken. The car had pointed. The man had nodded. Next stop, swabs and stamps. Swabs, stamps, and subpoenas. The clinic smelled like printer paper and lemon. The perfect vibe for ruining fiction with cotton swabs. We checked in under fluorescent honesty. Names, IDs, signatures that end arguments. The receptionist had a voice that could de-escalate a raccoon at a barbecue. Open wide, quick swab, no chewing the stick. I saluted like a man who respects rules and wood pulp. They called us in batches. Cold chairs, posters of smiling families who have never met a Telematics CSV. Mark went first. Swab, seal, beep. Barcode kissing paperwork like a notary with rhythm. Ellie squeezed his knee until his future confessed. Lena watched the wall clock the way people watch a cliff. My turn. Swab, seal, beep. Do I get a sticker? I asked. Only if you don't spit on me, the text said. Fair. I chose moral victory and a lollipop in my heart. Our kid came separately, Therapists designed so tiny brains don't carry adult luggage. The tech deployed Q-tip diplomacy and cherry bribery. They strutted out like a tiny astronaut who just planted a flag in Mars's mouth. I saluted the lollipop like a general. Sergeant Snitch would have approved from the garage. Chain of custody looked like a ballet for people who kiss barcodes. Labels went on, forms got initialed, samples slid into a tray like secrets boarding a very honest flight. I took photos of labels on the public screen because compliance is a love language and my camera roll already has a law degree. We walked out into sun that felt rude. Perfect. Next stop, courthouse pregame. Temporary orders hearing in a room where carpet eats footsteps. Our lawyer carried Officer Roadmap like a lunchbox full of consequences. The judge had eyebrows that file motions. We asked for status quo custody, calendar honesty, and no surprise guest stars in kid spaces. Granted. Paper didn't smile. It nodded. Prenup time. Clause 12C. Infidelity plus third-party evidence equals equity rebalancing. The words third-party evidence winked at Sergeant Snitch from the cloud. Our lawyer slid telematics, heat maps, and a digestible Sentry thumbnail sheet across to opposing counsel. Opposing counsel looked like they felt a draft, the kind that comes from consequences opening a window. Serve day, light edition. Neutral parking lot, sunglasses, envelope with sharp corners. The process server was 5 feet of forklift energy. Are you Lena? Yes. You've been served. The envelope hissed like a soda. No theatrics. Just stamps and a signature line where chaos used to live. She tried a soft open. We can handle this privately. And I offered the house slogan. We tried privately. We got Thursdays. Back home, I retired Sergeant Snitch from field work to a life of groceries and podcasts that slander me. Stand down, I said, patting the dash. The car blinked like a veteran who finally gets to garden. Officer Odometer remained on ceremonial duty, which is to say, he lives in the binder and scares liars. Then came Exhibit K, modern romance with metadata. Our lawyers stapled a chain of custody affidavit to a telematics printout clean enough to eat off. Device IDs, hash values, account provenance, export dates, like a recipe for credibility. The judge didn't comment on the car. The judge nodded at timestamps, which is how love languages sound in court. We filed a notice to preserve electronic evidence with every platform in a 10-mile radius. Telematics vendor got a do not delete letter that read like a bedtime story for servers. The boutique grocery got a subpoena that asked for receipts with the warmth of a winter windshield. The toll authority did a tidy printout and an apology for the fonts. My binder learned a new tab dance. Ellie, goddess of punctual clarity, emailed ground rules with 3 surgeon sentences. Therapist booked. Wage assignment in motion. He understands silence is a skill. I replied with the most romantic word in administrative English. Received. On the way to the next filing, our lawyer asked if I wanted to add ambient humor to the motion. Humor? I said. In pleadings? She smiled. The legal kind. Your file names are blueberries. Judges are human. So the motion read. Exhibit Blueberries 03. Sentry Mode. Still, grocery transfer. Opposing counsel sighed loud enough to fog a page. By Friday afternoon, the docket hummed like Sergeant Snitch's cabin filter. Temporary orders signed. Service verified. Preservation notices acknowledged. The medical lab pinged results pending, which is both anticlimax and drumroll. I made dinner without knives and counted my breaths like they were billable. Ellie texted a final PSA. Your calm is expensive. Spend it wisely. I looked at Sergeant Snitch, retired but smug, and Officer Roadmap, square and certain, and said to the kitchen, paper will keep doing the yelling. I'll keep doing the breathing. Then I taped a new sticky inside the binder. Subpoenas don't need volume. They have stamps. The promotion party ambush. Her company booked a hotel ballroom with carpet that looked like it had opinions. Banner said, congratulations, Lena, like the punctuation could file taxes. HR floated by in sequins shaped like compliance, and a DJ played corporate joy at a reasonable volume. I was handling the tribute. Of course I was. Officer Roadmap got a little bow on a zippered sleeve. Sergeant Snitch got to stay home and eat podcasts. I tested the projector twice, set the laptop to mirror, and labeled my USB, slideshow, final, for real. Inside, a folder called Tribute and a friend named Receipts. My clicker felt like a tiny guillotine with Bluetooth. HR lady stage whispered, 2 minutes, and did the universal hand swirl for, please be inspirational without legal exposure. I smiled like a cake with secrets. The lights dipped. Lena stood near center with that adorable, destroy me later smile. Coworkers tapped glasses. Someone yelled, speech, and the DJ lowered the corporate joy. I took the mic. Buckle up, I said, because the car did first. 3 polite laughs, 1 confused cough. Perfect. Slide 1. Black screen, white text, tribute. Then boom, GPS heat map, exhibit OR GPS 001. Data source, telematics export. Hash on screen. A comet the shape of not client HQ blooms like gossip in infrared. The room inhales. Lena's hustle map, I say. That glow? Commitment with a commute. Lena's face tries 3 expressions and picks none. Her boss's fork pauses midair like a tiny HR antenna. Click. Slide 2. Trips by day, exhibit or TR022. Tuesdays and Thursdays glow lemon zest. Saturdays sprinkle regret confetti. Footer, distance, idle, timestamps. We love a routine, I say. Doctors recommend 30 minutes twice a week. She chose 90. A blazer whispers, is this performance art? Which is what people say right before consequences. Click. Slide 3. Seat occupancy logs. Exhibit or WS007. Passenger, adult. Rear, small. Belt times marching like kindergartners with choreography. Fun car fact, I grin. Weight sensors guess occupants. This sedan is a snitch with algebra. Nervous laughter Roombas around. The DJ pretends to fix a cable. HR becomes a tasteful statue. Click. Slide 4. Sentry stills. Exhibit blueberries. 03. Grocery transfer. Net wrestle. The pat. Kid faces blurred. Timestamps not. Tonight's theme is, it's not what it looks like, I say. Sponsored by Metadata. Lena steps forward. Palms up. Turn it off. Exact energy of, we can talk in the car, which is the problem. Almost done, I say, tapping like I'm opening beans at a policy campfire. Slide 5. Bluetooth pairing history. Exhibit or BT002. Kid tablet. Coach Dan 2. First scene, last scene, favorite, true. On-screen tooltips. I put a hand over my heart. I too love a sequel. Someone coughs. Oh my God. 2 glasses accidentally ding the shame bell. Click. Slide 6. Prenup clause, 12C, 28-point font. Infidelity plus third-party evidence equals equity rebalance. Footer. Chain of custody IDs, export dates, device IDs. Housekeeping, I say. Car brought receipts. Paper brought stamps. This part comes with signatures. Right on cue, the process server in a black blazer materializes like a fiscal angel. Lena? Calm as a glacier. You've been served. Envelope. Hiss. Gravity. HR evaporates into non-statements. The boss stares at the clause like it owes him a drill. Someone near the bar whispers, is this allowed? Which, legally, is my favorite sentence. Lena's eyes burn holes. You're humiliating me. I'm narrating, I say. The humiliation was outsourced to telematics. The DJ reaches for volume like a firefighter with a garden hose. I raise a palm. One more. Click. Slide 7. Ground rules, exhibit, or GR001. Therapist plan. Calendar honesty. No surprise school cameos. Comms to ground rules. At. Love is the job. Biology is information. You are safe. Red ask. Yellow coordinate. Green. Go. Beige. Stop emailing. Her boss finds lungs. Maybe we should wrap up? I offer. Absolutely. Final frame. Officer roadmap tab labels. Trips, miles, seat sensors, video, geofences, financial, events, diagnostics, chain, each with exhibit codes. A tidy rainbow of dull. Paper will do the yelling, will do the breathing. Lena steps. Please don't. We already did, I say, quietly. Chain of custody says hi. The room lives in that weird middle where applause would be a hate crime. The server slips away like a cat that filed a motion. The DJ spins to small talk and lets a resilience song die. I let the mic breathe. Thanks for celebrating Lena's mileage. Dessert table now features approximately 40,000 miles of karma. 3 people laugh too hard. Someone mutters, "Holy," and aborts. HR reassembles into a human and mouths, "We'll be in touch," to nobody. I close the laptop, pocket the clicker, and walk off like a man leaving fireworks he didn't light. Past the sheet cake, I say, "We did numbers." The cake agrees in buttercream. At the door, I text ground rules at ambush concluded, paper walked. Read receipts ping like rain on a calm roof. Outside, the air tastes like lemon and toner. I square Officer Roadmap under my arm and pat the empty spot where Sergeant Snitch would have sat. "Stand down," I tell the night. It blinks once, like a car LED, and minds its business. Settlement. Paper cuts that add up. Title transfer first because ruse love paperwork. Clause 12C did its tap dance, so the deed slid my way like it had been practicing. The title officer smelled like lavender and neutrality. She pointed at flags. I signed. She pointed at more flags. I signed again. When the stamp thunked, the house exhaled like a tired trombone. I told the smoke detector, "You still beep at 2 a.m., but at least you're my problem." It beeped at 2:01 to assert dominance. Support math next. No trophies, no pyrotechnics, just the state calculator and its sensible shoes. Primary with me meant numbers that didn't wink. Direct deposit on Fridays. I asked the clerk if there's a confetti option for boring but fair. He said, "You can bring your own punch hole." I said, "Already did," and patted Officer Roadmap. Misused funds got their own petty parade. We ran 12 months of statements and highlighted Thursday jazz. Hotels disguised as vitamins. Boutique groceries by Not Client HQ disguised as kale emergencies. Gas for Not My Car on the toll road labeled Client Visit. Our lawyer itemized like a chef with a ruler. We spared mozzarella sticks because mercy belongs somewhere, even if it's fried. Everything else went on a reimbursement schedule that clicks on the first like, a metronome for regret. I locked the college fund like it owes me rent. 529 with me as owner, my sister as contingent, and alerts set to scream at $10. If anyone even breathes on it, my phone yodels. The court nodded for the child, not a trophy, which is the only nod I collect now. Smart car evidence became immortal, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say. Device IDs, hash values, export logs, chain of custody affidavits, Officer Odometer's greatest hits. The judge didn't laugh at Exhibit Blueberries 03. Sentry still, grocery transfer. He just initialed the corner like a man who respects snack-based filing systems. The car retired with honors. Sergeant Snitch got a ceremonial pat and a new schedule. Eggs, errands, podcasts, where a comedian slanders me. I told the dash, "You're off overtime." It offered a software update like a victory lap. Officer Ocular, the camera system, kept a ceremonial badge in the binder. We are a precinct, not a lifestyle. We stapled a clause that should come standard. No social media about the journey. If you have to process, you pay a therapist, not followers. We also added the beige rule. Stop emailing. Beige ends more wars than red. Co-parenting lanes learned colors. Red is ask. Yellow coordinate. Green, go. Beige, stop emailing. The court order turned those into traffic lights for grown-ups. Lena read them with eyebrows. Mark read them like terms of service and clicked agree with his face. Ellie annotated with a highlighter that scared me into good posture. Wage assignment for biology clicked on like a lamp. Mark's HR accepted the subscription model for reality. He sends a weekly bulleted update to ground rules at therapist attended, support sent, no surprises, no emojis. Ellie adds a single period that means continue. I never knew punctuation could feel like court. I sent one sentence to the people who matter. We're navigating a private family matter. The child's routine is stable. If anyone asked for details, I offered a PDF named Private and watched curiosity sit down. Paper is the new shush. The bank became a monastery. Bills hum. Accounts are separated like laundry. Joint card trimmed to groceries and please don't set fire expenses. Receipts stroll into folders labeled oxygen, school, shoe. I love a stroll. Final housekeeping. Titles in the lockbox. Passports stacked. The prenup tabbed and smug. Swab results filed. The sticky inside the door that reads love is the job. Paper keeps the lights on. I closed it and listened to the click. It sounded like a boundary. The day the final decree slid across the table, the clerk stamped like a heartbeat and said, "Congratulations on paperwork." I said, "The best kind," and meant it. We walked out without fanfare. Order doesn't ask for applause. At home, I stuck a label on the garage shelf. Receipts. Then I filled it with peace. I took the car to get groceries and let the route feel boring again. At a red light, I told the steering wheel, "Stand down." It blinked. I blinked back. We drove on like a couple married to routine, which is the only marriage I'm renewing. Lena texted ground rules at signed. Calendar updated. I replied, received. That's how love sounds now. Stamped, quiet, on time. And when Friday hit, direct deposit landed with the elegance of a spreadsheet that knows you did the work. Paper cuts sting. Then they add up. Then they stop bleeding. New normal with fewer lies. Routines grew muscle. Pancakes on Saturdays like a union rule. 2 pages at bedtime. Dramatic voices. My dragon always allergic. We walk the neighborhood and narrate it like a nature show. That mailbox looks suspicious. Agreed. The dog files a report by peeing on optimism. Co-parenting lanes learn colors for real. Green means go. Yellow means coordinate. Red means ask, like you're borrowing my truck. Beige means stop emailing, beloved. The shared calendar hums like a dishwasher. If someone forgets red, ground rules at sends a tiny digital cough. It's my favorite sneeze. Therapist scripts live on the fridge beside a watercolor turkey. Love is the job. Biology is information. You are safe. We don't say them daily. We demonstrate them with cereal, rides, homework, bedtime. The kids set the metronome. Sometimes yes to hangs. Sometimes not today. Either answer wins. First park hang was hilariously short. First names only. Public. Therapist approved. Ball gets kicked. Fries get earned. He starts to overshare. I steer with the sentence we rehearsed. We're doing information in small pieces. He swallows extra sentences like they're adult vitamins. Ellie gives me a micro nod that could stop a riot. Sergeant Snitch retired to normal duty. Eggs, errands, podcast where strangers gently roast my choices. I pat the dash at the end of each trip. Stand down. The car answers with a software update because that's how it says proud of you. Officer Odometer lives immortal in the binder, ceremonial only. Officer Ocular got his badge framed. The precinct keeps hours 9 to groceries. House systems got weirdly soothing. Receipts stroll into folders named oxygen, school, shoe. Alarms chirp for lunchboxes. My sister swings by Tuesdays with lasagna and silence. She trims quiet like a bonsai. Leaves me a list that says real coffee. Treat yourself fruit. I obey fruit better than people. Grief gets a timer. 20 minutes after lights out. I sit, let it stretch its legs. Then I write one sentence in the notebook. Today, the nacho joke crushed. Today, volcano stayed in the sink. Evidence we're living, not just mopping. Close notebook. Stand up. Do dishes. Repeat. The kid delivers micro audits. Dad, your pancakes are thicker. Thank you. That's a compliment framed as a threat. They practice lines for the school play. Tree number 4. Confident. My applause is professionally loud. The director tells me to use inside hands. Noted. We have a new family language. Nouns first, verbs second, adverbs never. When we talk big, we sit at the table and stay boring on purpose. I keep the binder within arm's reach, like a visible seatbelt. We don't reach for it much. Knowing it exists makes us both better drivers. Holidays got de-spiced. No cosplay dinners for stability. We keep the kids' routine, not a performance. Handoffs at neutral places. No surprise, uncles. Beige is the season. Ornament hooks labeled. Batteries pre-bought. Smoke detector braced and still beeping at exactly 2 a.m. because justice needs a hobby. Ground rules matured into muscle memory. Mark sends weekly bullet points like he's filing to a very gentle probation officer. Therapist completed. Support sent. No surprises, no emojis. Ellie replies with a single period that means continue. Punctuation is our governance model. Small mercies keep arriving. The judge stamps. The dog stops stealing only the crust. The dishwasher doesn't mutiny for 3 consecutive cycles. The kid sleeps heavy and crooked, which is the correct way. I stand in the doorway and choose not to narrate disaster. I put one more label on the garage shelf, receipts. Then I filled it with peace. Turns out peace stores nicely when you fold it. Also, it stacks. On Sundays, we meal prep like people who respect future versions of ourselves. Breakfast burritos don't cure anything. They absolutely participate in healing. Folks ask if it feels normal yet. New normal isn't shiny. It's clocks that work and a car that minds its own business. It's systems that hold when people wobble. It's a boring life that fits in a pocket like a list. It's the kid rolling their eyes at my jokes and secretly recycling them later. That's legacy. Sometimes I miss the noise. Then I notice silence doing push-ups. This house used to rehearse disaster. Now it breathes. I fall asleep to the sound of a very smug dishwasher and wake up to a calendar that tells the truth. It's not dramatic. It's durable. I'll take durable. One night, mid-dishes, I caught myself thanking the car out loud. Good game, partner. It blinked. I blinked back. We went to bed like coworkers who crushed a project and agreed to never talk about it in the break room. Healthy. The projector glow died, and the heat map comet took its secrets with it, leaving only paper and quiet breathing in a room that finally believed me. I stacked Officer Roadmap shut, patted the dash in the garage, and told the precinct to stand down. The new shift was pancakes and bedtime. If this kind of beautifully boring revenge arc steadied you, subscribe and watch the next one, where a girl's trip receipt ends a rehearsal dinner in 45 seconds. More tech witnesses, more calm wins, less yelling. Hit follow, bring snacks, and yes,